GNASS. Two degenerates, both sides of the border. John Santino, Alex Lacasse. The Great North American Sports Show.
Welcome into another edition of the Great North American Sports Show, coming to you from the heart of the Shire's Seacoast. I'm one of your hosts, Alex Lacasse, joined as always by my friend from Toronto, Ontario, and our friendly neighbors to the north. That would be John Santino. John, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well, Alex. I'm doing well as we record tonight on December 12th. A little bit of a late recording for us off of our usual interval. It was a bit of a rocky weekend this past weekend, Alex. Had a lot of birthday festivities, so
yes,
nice.
Happy birthday to you, good sir.
Thanks, buddy. Thank you. How about you? How's your weekend?
Oh, just peachy.
Oh, buddy. New Hampshire can't be getting to you that much.
It's a dark and cold time of year down here.
Oh, buddy, that's everywhere. We had nothing but snow this past weekend. Nothing. Well, I mean, on Sunday at least, it was very, very slushy.
Cold. I don't know. I'll take snow. At least there's like something on the ground. But yeah,
I know nothing sucks more than dry cold. But
yes.
The good news is we have a wonderful show ahead for you, because we will tell you who has the ball this week in open court. A new front runner for Victor Wembanyama, potentially. The rematch of last season's NBA Finals. Was it a new day or was it the same old, same old? And of course, the Western Conference has a new top dog. That's right. They reside in New Orleans. We'll tell you what lets them bark the loudest. We look at
as long as Zion stays off the beignets.
Oh, yeah. As long as he stays off the beignets, those knees will be perfect. We'll tell you if Father Time has claimed its latest victim in the GOAT. Alex, your boy, Mr. TB12, going down. And of course, and speaking of your other boy, Xander Bogaerts has a new home. A despondent, a potentially disgruntled Alex. Well, actually, potentially very disgruntled Alex will take you through the minds of the Fenway faithful. Because, I mean, who doesn't love Xander as a Padre? Most people. And then we'll close out the show, as always, with Degenerates Corner. Alex, let's dive right into it.
That's right, John. And before we bang in the gavel to open up the open court, just some breaking NBA news. Within the last hour, Adrian Wojnarowski reporting, Cade Cunningham of the Pistons has elected for season-ending shin surgery. And John, we have a new leader in the clubhouse for the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. I think coming into this season, I think that people thought the Pistons were going to be kind of maybe a surprise playoff team.
Like at least pushing behind Cade Cunningham.
For at least a play-in tournament.
Like, yeah, he was very, very impressive like this past year. In addition to that, like we saw dude who got into it with LeBron James, Isaiah Stewart, like he made some big, I believe his name made some massive strides. Yeah. And now Cade Cunningham going down early in the season. Detroit already the last place team in the Eastern Conference, by the way. Things not looking great for them right now. And Alex, to your point,
they could also be pulling the Greg Popovich special. Cade, it's up to you. You have a long career ahead of you. Maybe you want to get the surgery now. Famously, David Robinson, I think it was the 96-97 season. I think he had some ankle injury and he could have come back that season. And they're like, just rest up on it. And the Spurs, slipped into the lottery and drafted Tim Duncan, and the rest is history. So that's clearly what's happening here, John. And so Wembanyama, that'd probably be a pretty good fit for those Pistons.
I was going to say,
I wouldn't start that rebuild.
To be fair, Bojan Bogdanovic being your big move with Cade Cunningham, I don't think you're ready to compete anyway. So to be fair, this is a pretty solid gamble on their part, I'd say.
Yes. And yeah, they're dropping in the standings. And so, they're competing in a different contest, John. And that's a race to the bottom. And so Houston, you got a real competitor in the East now. So watch out, those Rockets.
To get Victor Wembanyama, Alex, before we quickly jump to our next open court topic, over or under 17 wins to get Victor Wembanyama. Or to get the top lottery, excuse me, to get the top lottery spot, I should say.
The top lottery spot, 17 and a half.
Call it 17 and a half. Yeah.
That's a tight number. I'll take the under. Someone's
Ooh,
gonna
I was gonna take the under too.
someone's gonna
Yo,
someone's
they're
gonna
trading people who
flagrantly
can do
take here. And I
crossovers,
mean,
man.
it could be this Pistons. Like we could see, like they could drop like 14 in a row now. I mean, like Cade Cunningham was really all they had going for them.
And like I said, they had some strides with Isaiah Stewart. Their big offseason acquisition was Bojan Bogdanovic. So they're not exactly going very many places fast. But Alex, speaking of teams that might be, we had a rematch of the NBA Finals. Your Celtics taking on the Golden State Warriors. I mean, let's take it to you first. How'd you feel? What was your first thought on the game taking it in?
Really watching the game, it was like they were playing what would have been game 7 of the NBA Finals in Golden State. Except like the series had already been decided, and they just decided to play the game 7 anyways, just for ha-has, and because it was a repeat of all the games that we watched. Um, the Celtics early, like I knew they were probably in trouble because they go down, I think 8-10 points in that first quarter.
Yep.
They're down 8 points. They make a 3 with I forget who made it. I might have been Brogdon. Brogdon played well in that game. But he makes a 3 to cut it to 5 points with like 5 seconds left in the first quarter. Steph Curry nails a 3 from like 10 feet behind the line. It's like, oh no.
Steph Curry's fourth quarter efficiency is like soul crushing.
Right. And it's also the third quarter too. Like the Celtics came out strong in that third quarter. I think they went down and they were down 8 points at halftime. They made a good run to open that third quarter, and then they started turning the ball over. 6 turnovers in that third quarter, and so it looked a lot like the finals did. Jaylen Brown came to play. I have no problems with Jaylen Brown in that game. 31 points, but Jason Tatum struggled again.
I was about to ask that
against especially the Warriors. Your best player needs to be the best player, and Tatum. And last year and now this year, he hasn't done it against it. It's 6 for 21 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. It wasn't the game we were looking for. And then afterwards, Tatum kind of brushes it off like, "Well, media's making a big deal out of this." Like, no, Tatum, this is a big deal. Like, you only have so many chances during the NBA regular season when you are an elite team to show the rest of the league, the rest of the country who you are. And the Celtics show them that maybe you add Malcolm Brogdon, but health is always a question mark with him. But you maybe just showed everybody you're the same team you were from last year, and that's concerning.
Alex, I do have one question because you bring up Jason Tatum struggles, and we talked about it with the NBA Finals, offline, before we started our wonderful show. But as we know, Jason Tatum, not that he has a rep for it yet per se, but he is getting that sort of. In these big games, he has these moments where he's just not as tip of the spear, I'd say, as he needs to be. Do you think
that's
this is
entirely fair on him? Because in that second round series against the Bucks, he drops 41 points in Milwaukee to force the game 7 back in Boston. So I think it's almost like he gets uncomfortable and
that's what I was about to say is, do you think it's something like potentially mental where he's either uncomfortable in certain situations, or do you think it's potentially something like, say, Marcus Smart hogging the ball at certain times and he doesn't feel like he could potentially perform as the alpha dog he needs to be?
I've been the biggest critic of Marcus Smart. Maybe.
Well, I throw Marcus Smart out there a little bit too easily because I know that.
But I have to say this season, Marcus Smart has really cut down on the bad shots. He still takes them. It still makes me angry, but given how well this offense has been functioning, I can't make a big deal about Marcus Smart's play. This is definitely mental with Tatum, and he's definitely he put in the work this offseason. He's bigger, he's stronger, and he's come back every year like that. And in a game like that, you need to eat Jonathan Kuminga's lunch. And he looked to take advantage of him a couple times, but you really need to go at a guy like that. And Kuminga held up his own. But if you're Jason Tatum, without Iguodala wasn't playing in that game, and you shouldn't at this point be held down by Draymond Green, and Jonathan Kuminga. You really need to put your stamp on that game. And it's just the opposite. The Warriors look like they got Klay Thompson going. That's the Klay Thompson the Warriors have been begging for and yearning for since he came back from these devastating injuries.
Keep in mind, though, this game was at the Chase Center, and the Warriors are a completely different team at the Chase Center this season. They've had their struggles primarily away from home. And let's flip it actually more on the Warriors side, Alex. How do you feel about the Warriors game? I mean, we just mentioned it. Like the Warriors have struggled away from the Chase Center all season. I mean, how'd they look against your Boston Celtics?
I mean, if they're gonna play like that, then they're the world champions again. You might as well crown them right here because nobody can match that shooting that Klay Thompson and Steph Curry have.
Well, yeah, I know, but they're obviously at their best. They're world champions, Alex. But I mean, this is a team that's largely struggled this season. I mean, Jordan Poole coming out of the gate, he hasn't performed up to the standard that he really needs to. Andrew Wiggins is always a bit of a mixed bag to a degree because I mean, yeah, exactly. With him, I think it's basketball IQ. I don't think it's work ethic or athleticism or like shooting ability. I think he legitimately like has decision making issues that a coach just hasn't been able to reach him on. But I mean, the Warriors, one thing to keep in mind too is they've still been without James Wiseman, which is just like at some point you'd like to think they get some value out of him.
Right, and maybe Big Ben take a long time to develop. I mean, now we're how long into the Mo Bamba
Alex. I'm not talking like an all-star. I'm talking
no,
minutes.
I'm just
minutes.
Like, yeah, you think he'd be a contributor at this point for sure. No, I definitely agree with you there. So that just begs the question with this Warriors team: are they more or less just sleepwalking through this regular season, or do we really think they have like serious deficiencies because they play a game like that against the best team in the NBA? And it looks like their problems really aren't that large.
No, I know. And like to a degree, like even their like because like I said, like their biggest issue so far has appeared to be playing away from the Chase Center. And there's like a degree of like almost yips to that because it's the Warriors, like I think they'll be able to figure that out. Like, and like we mentioned James Wiseman, like he's been injured all year. If this team is 100% healthy, like I don't suspect them to be, what are they, like one game above 500?
Yeah,
like,
now they are.
Like, there's no way. Yeah, and they came in at 500. Yeah,
yeah.
There's no way. Like, this is a team that's going to finish in the top 5 slots in the West, provided that they're healthy and remain healthy. We've seen that they can, pull the shoot and tank sometimes. As we were speaking, the Pistons might. But yeah, no, I think this is a team that is just. I don't know if they're disinterested, championship hangover, but it's not an issue of talent, man. They're going to figure it out.
But I guess, do they figure it out in time to salvage, a top 5 spot in the playoffs, or do they have to get, crazy and pull off some deal here to shake things up?
I don't think they'll have to pull off a deal quite like just yet to like maybe like something catastrophic happens and they'll have to pull off a deal to like bolster their depth. But the way things stand, I don't see the like. We're starting to really see things round out to average of where we thought they were going to be before the season. Like we didn't think the Lakers were going to be brutal all year, and we're starting to see them kind of round into form. We didn't think the Clippers were going to be awful all year. We're starting to see them round into form. The Jazz
still play basketball.
Sorry,
does Kawhi Leonard still play basketball?
Sometimes.
Are we sure about that? I've yet to see the man on the court.
He's like a leap year. You see him once every 4 games, but
yeah, that makes sense.
But we're seeing teams like Utah fall down the standings as well, and so personally, I think it's just going to be rounding into form for the Warriors. Like I was saying, 2-11 away from the Chase Center right now, Alex. Like they'll figure some shit out about that. Like that's even if they go 500 the rest of the way, that's a recipe to finish in 5th. And also, I'm staring at 5th place right now, and I'm looking at you, Sacramento. I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all.
No one wants to trust Sacramento, but hey, maybe Mike Brown is Rick Adelman reincarnated, and what's his face? Lithuanian dude went to Gonzaga.
Oh, wait, for Sacramento?
Yeah.
Oh, Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, Sabonis. Jesus, why can't I totally had a brain cramp right there. Sabonis is reincarnated, Vlade Diva reincarnated. Like it's coming together. De'Aaron Fox is Mike Bibby.
Sabonis is a fantastic player, but man, that Halliburton trade is just awful.
That was
But Alex, speaking of team, Oh,
No, I was just gonna say, John, you have a team that you like that maybe can give the Warriors a run in the Western
well, that's
Conference.
what I was about to say, man. Speaking of teams we can or can't trust, how about the New Orleans Pelicans? The first place team in the Western Conference right now. Zion Williamson is
I trust
back
them
in.
more than the Kings, that's for sure.
Well, here's the thing. Zion's back and firing on all cylinders. You mentioned it before the show. Do you trust his health?
No, not at all.
Ooh, man.
I don't like. There's too much of a sample size here,
Do you
and
not think that they can't figure this out with load management though? Like,
no, because I think at the end of the day, these guys need to play. That's what they do.
well,
Like
Alex,
I
I'm
think
not talking about this guy not playing for months on end. I'm talking about him maybe like, okay, so if it's an 82 game season, what's wrong with him playing 72 games or 70
Oh no,
games?
yeah, that's normal. I'm not saying like the load management when the guy plays like between 40 and 50 games, but he's really hasn't had like an injury all season. And I mean, if Zion's like in a slightly different case, I know he did battle an injury earlier, but if he's fine the rest of the way, then like normal rest should do it for him. But I do we know that Zion's in the best possible like is Zion a athlete who's in the best peak physical condition for a man his size?
You don't have to be the best athlete, Alex. Phil Kessel's proven that with 1,000 straight NHL games. And Zion, although it's a different sport, I do think they can figure this out with load management where he'll be healthy enough to play in the playoffs. I mean, like, look at this roster. They have CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, a dearth of wing players. Jonas Valanciunas is a solid double center. Like, they should be able to figure this out to get Zion to the playoffs. And if they can get this man in the playoffs, currently he's averaging 25 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He's shooting 61% from the field. Like, these are MVP numbers, dude. Like, borderline MVP numbers.
Yeah,
Like,
he's definitely
and
pushing it. And we talk a lot about you're handicapping the voting field when you think about the MVP.
yeah,
So like
well,
now,
yeah,
if
because
Zion does this the whole year, then he'll be in the conversation this year, and then next season will be his run for the MVP. And again, you're in basketball, that big frame just running up and down the court on wood, putting all that
Alex, I'm
wear
telling you,
and
man,
tear on those knees.
load management. This is what they need to do. See, the thing that we just mentioned about the MVP, if the Pelicans themselves think about this logically and they just say and they talk him down from winning this award, like wanting to win the MVP award, I think they're fine. Like, dude, all you need him to play is like 70 games, 68 games. That's it.
I
And then
think this is a roster that would give a team like the Suns like trouble because I think there's something not right about that Suns team. We just talked about the Celtics. I didn't catch all of the game last Wednesday, but when the Celtics were in Phoenix, they were the 45 points in the third quarter, John, against at that point the top team in the Western Conference. So
I also think there's something scary force of nature about Zion where if they truly unleash him in a way that like he's always going to be attacking the rim and in a low block, like I don't think there's many players that can stop that kind of like the power and the size and the athleticism that he has.
No,
That's
it's like Giannis when he's about to enter that spin move on
exactly.
the block. You're just like, oh well, you're toast.
Oh yeah, good luck.
At that point, it's too late.
You might as well just like roulette him and let him go because it's like you don't want to end up on a poster.
Yep. Business decisions, John.
Oh, but yeah, I think the Pelicans, I think they can be for real, but this is gonna be. I mean, everyone always says it's injury dependent, but like Zion is like, guys, just load manage him, and you will finish in the top. I'd say 3 in the West.
I'd watch out for the Grizzlies, and I think the
Grizzlies
Grizzlies
top
are
3.
No, I know, but I think they're primed to make a move here, and because they need a reliable wing player. They like I don't want to say Tobias Harris, but someone slightly better than Tobias Harris. Someone like of that ilk who is a starting caliber, exactly what you're gonna get. Maybe like a guy like DeMar DeRozan would be perfect on the Grizzlies.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think in Chicago, that's kind of run its course with a lot of those guys, even Zach LaVine to a degree. But
so I think if the Grizzlies make a move, they're because seem like they have a lot of good role players that you could package into some kind of deal. Like I think they need someone on the pecking order that's somewhere between Ja Morant and Desmond Bane if they're going to be a true NBA title contender.
No, absolutely. And one thing I was going to mention too is that Jaren Jackson's only played like 10 games this year too. So it's
right. Yeah.
They've proven they can get it done without him
too.
And not just that, that being said, like they've proven they can get it done without him. They have Steven Adams on the roster. So it's like right there's your starting point for your package.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, like they could make a move, they could move up. And yeah, I do like Memphis a lot, but I think in a playoff series, I like the Pelicans to beat them provided they're healthy. But like I said, like that's going to be the biggest thing. Like the Pelicans just have to load manage the shit out of Zion. Just make sure he doesn't
Right.
like fucking blow a tire or something. That's it.
Yeah. You never know with Zion shoes. So well, it'll be his health will be what sinks or swims the Pelicans, definitely.
100%. Alex, let's move to the gridiron as well. It was a rough day in the office for Mr. Tom Brady.
Yeah, getting shellacked, and this was only the second time in his career he played in front of the home friends and family in San Francisco or Santa Clara.
And he
Now,
loses to Mr. Irrelevant in this past
yeah,
year's
that
draft.
there is some like karmic I don't want to say justice,
felt
but
poetic.
like there's definitely something cosmic about that for sure.
Yeah.
Given he came from 199. I obviously nothing's working on this Tampa Bay offense, and I wonder how much of Tampa's success on offense was Bruce Arians, and is Byron Leftwich just like is he this incompetent? Like I don't think he is. I mean, he was a head coach finalist in Jacksonville.
You'd like to think
But
so, but we've also seen now two Todd Bowles teams that haven't really performed up to standard. And in addition to that, like when it comes to Tom Brady, like one thing that's a little bit disheartening is that, and we see it like a bit with the body language with his like with the receivers and some of, especially with the offensive linemen that aren't Tristan Wirfs, like, but his like the body language is not as good. And when you look at the numbers, it's shockingly similar to that last season on New England when you could just kind of eerily feel like he didn't want to be there anymore. It's as
yeah,
low.
the team started 9-0 that year, and like
Yeah,
I mean,
but
and it just goes to show, like, when you have Tom Brady and then Bill Belichick coaching, like they can just
you can
luck
still
they
do
can-
work. Yeah.
yeah,
But
even when everybody hates each other, it's completely dysfunctional. So I'm not ready to say that it's completely over for Tom Brady yet. I mean, you just look at what he did last week, down 14 in the fourth quarter, and you can still beat Tom Brady.
I hear, yeah. And the thing is, he's such a brilliant football mind that he can at least game manage this level to a degree. And he's aided by such a shitty division that they're still in first place despite a losing record. So it's
Right.
not like he's going to go anywhere anytime soon. But Alex, do you think his off the field distractions this year could have anything to do with his stats potentially declining a little bit? Like, do you think like he gets this all
absolutely.
sorted? Like,
I mean, the guy's only human, and he's had. I mean, all of these guys, these pro athletes, that they have their routines, and like, I mean, whether or not Tom Brady was Father of the Year, at least like he still had the routine of his family life, and when that gets upended,
it was a red flag when he left training camp to deal with his family life.
yeah, and then I mean, Brady didn't do himself any favors by going to Bob Kraft's wedding on a Friday night in Manhattan, and then you have to play the Steelers that week. So I think maybe and then he's screaming at his offensive line on the sideline, and then you look at him like, dude, where were you on Friday? Like, like were you putting in all the time that we needed to study for this this crappy Steelers team? So I guess I still think if Tom Brady was a quarterback of the 49ers right now, like we'd look at the 49ers and say, like, is anyone going to beat them in the NFC? So, but I think Kyle Shanahan is too stubborn, and like, I need my quarterback to run my system and run the bootleg. And like, and so that's why the 49ers didn't make a stronger play for Tom Brady when he was a free agent. Like, I think Kyle Shanahan really moved them off Brady, and maybe the 49ers see like, all right, Trey Lance isn't ready. We can't bring back Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. Everything else on our team is all systems go, where we need to win a Super Bowl. We bring in all these pieces. Like, yeah, let's turn over for Brady 1 year. Like, if he did that, then he was the game manager of the San Francisco 49ers. Like, they cruise to a division.
but that's what you're saying is you're saying that you think it's gotten to the point though where he kind of is a game manager at this point then.
Right, an elite game manager, like
Well,
like
I didn't say
Alex
he was going to
Smith,
be
like,
not anything he does. He's going to win. That's the thing. He's going to like even right now we're seeing it where his team's awful. He's doing enough to win the division.
right, and so my issue with my issue is I don't think the guy.
He's not
Just put him
washed
on
yet.
like the right team, and they'll
Yeah.
still like compete for a Super Bowl. It's just the guy can't do everything anymore.
I
But he was whenever this cliff came from, he was never going to be like, oh wow, Tom Brady doesn't have it anymore. It's like, nah, he's like the 14th best quarterback. That's all.
I still think personally, I think a lot of this is not fully him being washed, because even though his numbers are like declining, they're not bad, and he's still, to your point, like much better than a lot of other quarterbacks. And
Mac Jones.
yeah, there's one. But I think to your point, like I think he's more due if he wants to continue his career for another change of scenery than anything else. And I think we might see that more of a quarterback carousel than we've ever seen, like this coming off season, with some of the older QBs being not exactly happy with how their teams have played. But
Right.
we know Tom's willing to move on if necessary. And I mean, now that he doesn't have as much, well, I mean, like now that his family life has changed, I think he might be more open to a move. But I don't want to speak for him on that front.
Yeah, just go to bed. Go back to San Francisco 1 year. Go home. I want to see it.
That would be awesome. But yeah, we'll see how that Trey Lance injury recovery goes. I could see them wanting to bring him in to kind of groom that next generation for sure. But I mean, do you want to pay him that much and you have to start him no matter what?
I mean, if he like, I feel like you could pay him like $20 million, and then there'd just be like incentives, like at that
Yeah,
point,
that's
like
fair.
because he would probably like you would still want to go to San Francisco over anywhere else.
I just think, well, I think the only issue with San Francisco is they wouldn't want to kick the can too much further down the road, just because of eventually they do want to hand the reins to Trey Lance.
Yeah,
But
you still got 2 years plus his option year.
yeah, but like at some point, like you don't want to incur too many cap penalties for when you do finally have to give him that contract. That's the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, what if he hasn't shown enough to deserve to be paid at the top of the market?
Yeah,
Then
well
you
then
sign
you
him to
still
one of those.
have but then you have the cap room in the draft to go, or the capital to acquire another free agent. You
Right.
don't,
Or you sign him to like this bridge deal, like that's kind of like, an in between contract. And then you can still, you have a
Alex,
lot
I
of
don't
capital on
believe
your
in
team.
bridge deals. They're I get it to a degree, but I don't think with that position that's as valuable as quarterback, you don't play a game like that. You end up with Kirk Cousins that way.
Yeah, but I mean, a bridge deal for like a much lower number than what Kirk Cousins got.
Well, no, not his literal bridge deal, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Alex, I think it's time we move on to what'll be the hot button topic of this episode. I know it seems like we've been rushing through a couple things, but that's because I wanted to get to this one. Um, Xander Bogaerts, we'll just cut right to it, is a San Diego Padre.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't fault the player. Like, and this is what we said about the market. And this was the risk of always having Xander Bogaerts go to the market if you're the Red Sox, was that someone was going to get absolutely stupid. And, we talk a lot about the Confederate gold that some of these random baseball franchises have lying under the mattress. The San Diego Padres went down to El Dorado and looted all the gold to pay Xander. 11 years, $280 million. I mean, good for Xander. I mean, he's going to get paid till he's 41 years old.
Yeah, which is crazy that they were I think that was
real
the real
serious
thing.
money.
I think that was the real thing that like was the deal breaker or the deal sweetener, like whatever, like that was what got it done. The fact that they were willing to go until his age 41 season and extend that deal out to get him that extra, like probably 20 million bucks kind of thing.
Or I guess, yeah, so it would be 40, 40, yeah.
41, because he's 30, 41, 42, so around there.
Yeah. And so I guess before I get to the Red Sox, I think we really need to put to bed this notion that there are big market teams, small market teams. These are all very, very, very wealthy people that run these baseball franchises.
Got to be a billionaire to own the team.
Yep. And there are some people that are in it because it's a pet project for them and they just really like the game of baseball. You're Steve Cohen and you have the means to buy a baseball team, and damn it, you want to win. And then you're your team, like for the Pittsburgh Pirates guy he's a top 10. I don't even know his name. He's
Alex, the term you're looking for is equity toy.
Yeah, it's a equity toy for one of these chodes, and you're the top 10 wealthiest owner in the sport, and all you do is just collect revenue checks from the other billionaires. Like, that is pathetic. And now the Red Sox want to be one of those teams. They want to be the Tampa Bay Rays, which is maddening, absolutely maddening.
Well, hang on, Alex, before we jump to the Red Sox, let's talk about the signing itself. So Xander joins the San Diego Padres on an 11-year, $280 million deal. The talisman of the Red Sox, obviously, shortstop from the Netherlands. Let's
No,
examine.
he's from Aruba.
Oh, my bad. From Aruba, speaks Dutch. That's why, and
Yes,
plays for the Netherlands. That's why I
Netherlands. Yeah,
always think. But that's why I always think he, excuse me, is from the Netherlands. My apologies on that one. But let's just examine his fit with San Diego. So I actually think this is a brilliant signing for the Padres, just because, I mean, he's one of the top offensive shortstops in the game. As we know, San Diego, a little bit of a potential issue at shortstop with Tatis. Not exactly going to be there long term. They do have another shortstop though with Ha-Seong Kim. So whenever, I mean, Xander, the one criticism of him, as Alex, you've always said, might have to move off the position. So potentially ready for him to jump on. Alex, how are you feeling about the signing though for the Padres?
So I think in terms of like a culture leadership standpoint, it's a great signing for the Padres they haven't won one in their franchise's history. They're obviously going for it. And Xander has 2 championship rings on those fingers. So, and he brings a lot of cachet, just positivity. There's this story for all his years on the Red Sox. When he got to the clubhouse every day, he went up and he talks with every member of the team. And, you know, a sport like baseball, you see each other all the time. He speaks 4 languages. So he bridges those cultural divides in language barriers in clubhouses. So that in of itself is valuable. And like obviously his production and what he's done in his career is, you know, that speaks for itself. I do have question marks about the fit, because when he did his introductory press conference, he was asked, what position do you play, Xander? And he said, I'm a shortstop. So coming into a clubhouse with, you know, even Manny Machado played shortstop with
two other shortstops right now, and Manny Machado.
Yeah, Manny Machado is arguably still a shortstop, even though he's a really good thing. He's a Gold Glove third baseman as well. So, it's the glamour position in the infield. So that, you know, may, you know, bristle some people, but I think, you know, who Xander is as a person, like, you get over that. But I think his power was tailor-made for Fenway Park. You have the short wall, you know, the short, I mean, it's tall, but the wall's really close in left field. Petco Park is a cavern. So if Xander's power is, you know, 20 to 30 home runs at Fenway Park, that might be 15 to 20 playing 81 games at San Diego. So does that wear thin with Padres fans who are coming in thinking that he's a 25 plus home run guy?
Alex, there's 2 things that, even if it does wear thin with that I would say that. There's one person who I'd compare. First is that, well, let's start with the first one. If you win, it does not matter if he doesn't hit 30 home.
It's worth it.
It's totally worth it. It's worth paying him till he's 42 years old. Doesn't matter. Second, Ben Zobrist is the name that comes to mind when thinking of who Xander Bogaerts is for this team. Yes, he might start as a shortstop now. That doesn't mean he's going to end
much better player than Ben Zobrist.
I agree. But what I mean is that type of player where he has the versatility to plug in anywhere. He can even be a DH now on a somewhat regular basis. You're looking for him to just make contact with the ball and just deliver, just produce, deliver from every position, provide you versatility. And I think the Padres are really aiming for that. Like, we see that now. They have 4 guys, as we mentioned, who can play shortstop. So I really think that that's their goal here, is to promote that feeling of super athleticism, versatility, and of course, building around Juan Soto.
Right. And I think if you're the Padres, the guy that I compare, I mean, now that Xander at some point is going to move off shortstop, we don't know when. I think the guy that you wanted to be is Paul Molitor, a guy who,
that's also fair.
Great career with the Brewers. And then he goes to the Blue Jays. He wins 2 World Series. I think he was the 93 World Series MVP, and he collects 3,000 hits in Major League Baseball. And so, I mean, Xander, I think he has just over 1,400 hits right now. So he's going to have a roster spot for 11 more years in the game. So he probably should get to 3,000 hits. And it's not going to be with the Red Sox.
Alex, hey, man. Who's that guy who the Mets still pay every year? Bobby Bonita or whatever?
Bobby Bonita.
Yeah, I was like, don't say he's going to have a roster spot forever, bud.
Well, I mean, that was like an insane that was an insane Wilpon, you know, contract gymnastics because they were tied up with the Bernie Madoff scandal.
Oh, buddy. But I mean, we'll jump to a quick break, and then of course we'll jump to the Red Sox perspective on this signing.
And we're back.
I know. So Alex, we spoke about how Xander is going to fit like a glove with his new team, but let's talk about his old team. He was a talisman in Boston. So, I mean, where do you want to start with this one from the Red Sox perspective?
Oh God. I need a stiff drink. So look, this is 20 years of thinking you're the smartest people in the room coming to roost. And when you had Theo Epstein, at least you could like make that claim. But now, like, I think we can put aside any, all the Liverpool fans, the Penguins fans, like we can put aside any fears about about them being neglected parts of the Fenway Sports Group portfolio because it's the Red Sox. Like, what else? What other evidence do we need to see that the Red Sox, that John Henry takes this fan base entirely for granted, and he knows that regardless of how bad things get, there'll be enough of the tourists coming into Fenway Park for like there'll be at least 25,000 people in the ballpark this year.
And by the way, Alex, if the rumors are to believe are to be believed, like what's been reported, you mentioned Pittsburgh and Liverpool. In Pittsburgh's case, Chris Letang and Sidney Crosby went up to John W. Henry and said, "You're going to sign Evgeny Malkin," and that's what happened. In Liverpool's case, Virgil van Dijk and Jordan Henderson went up to John W. Henry and Jurgen Klopp and said, "You're going to sign Mohamed Salah," and that's what happened. Didn't exactly happen with Xander Bogaerts.
No, I think it's the complete opposite. Like Alex Cora was pleading all season, and like whenever he had the chance to talk about Xander Bogaerts, he was essentially saying to the ownership, "You're stupid if you let this guy walk out the door. He's the most consistent man." Like exact quote, "He is the most consistent member of this organization." He in his post-game press conference, like they're like, before the last season or last series of the year, they ask him like, Xander's coming up for free agency. He's like, "Look, this isn't a big deal. Like, I expect he's going to be here next year." Like, so everybody was telling you how valuable of a member of the Red Sox that Xander Bogaerts was. It's just Chaim Bloom and John Henry. They didn't value him because he's not an analytics darling. He doesn't, have the hardest hit balls like Franchi Cordero.
Yeah,
so
but like to a degree, he is an analytics darling because he's good.
No, John. I don't know if you know this. The nerds think base hits are bad. Base hits, bad. Getting on base, bad. Working the counts, bad. You need to hit 40 home runs, strike out 200 times, and hit the ball hard for outs. But it doesn't matter because you hit the ball hard. Like it just looks like this organization is just too dense to realize that you have players that have performed well in this market. In Boston, it's not an easy place to play. It's not. It's New York, Boston, Philadelphia, those three in Chicago to some extent. Those three northeastern cities, it's tough on these guys. And like I wish Trevor Story all the best because short of going for 3,100 and hitting 270, 280, like it's going to be a hard year for him. So like I hope he's prepared for it. Like, and I mean that with all the love in the world for him. But it just looks like this team is just stupid. Are they too dense to realize that for the players that have proven it in Boston, like bringing in these players out from outside the organization, Pablo Sandoval, Hanley Ramirez, Carl Crawford, Edgar Renteria, those are the contracts that kill them. Like the Chris Sale contract that Dave Dombrowski signed, like fundamentally broke John Henry's brain. It's just that. So now we're back in this post 2013 world where they finished last place back-to-back years in 2014 and 2015 after you luck into a World Series by signing the Johnny Gomes and Shane Victorinos of the world. So yeah, this team just doesn't want to commit to anybody long term. It's like, 6 years, nope, can't do it. Nope, we're out. Like, and you're not going to win if you don't sign long contracts. And when you're a team like the Red Sox, you need to be able to do that. That's your advantage.
Oh, and exactly, Alex. Like that's what I was gonna say. Is your advantage as the Fenway Sports Group in baseball is that you have financial muscle that other teams just simply aren't willing to use. And to your point, it's willing to use. And in addition to that, you need to set a culture in place as a team. And Xander was a captain on this team. If like, obviously like baseball is a little bit different than other sports. You're not exactly like wear a C on your jersey or a band or something like that. But based on all reports, Xander was the leader in this clubhouse. He's the one who set the tone and the culture there. And you see exactly how much the San Diego Padres value that. just with the contract alone.
Right. Yeah. And just look at the last time the Red Sox won the World Series in 2018. The team was anchored by two big money starting pitchers in David Price and Chris Sale. And probably most people in Boston think that David Price underperformed his 7 years, $210 million contract that he signed. But at the end of the day, they won a World Series, and he was the best starting pitcher on that roster.
Can't stress this enough. You win, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if you win, it doesn't matter, or at least it shouldn't matter. But I guess to John Henry, he doesn't care about the World Series. He just looks at it as $210 million that he doesn't have, which is just like, then you got to get out. Like, that's not how you have to view this anymore. Like, if that's how you're going to view it, you got to get out, because like get someone in there at least. Like, it's like, yep, this is money that we're investing to win. That's why we do this, or at least that's why we're supposed to be doing this. And so you look at that 2018 team, John, 108 wins, most in Red Sox history, the 100+ year history of the Boston Red Sox. 4 of your 5 top players on offense were age 27 or younger. Mookie Betts and Xander Bogaerts were both 27. Andrew Benintendi was 24, 25, and Rafael Devers was 21 or 22. Devers and Betts are the two best players here. So Betts and Bogaerts are gone from this team. Do you want to know what Chaim Bloom has gotten in return for 2 all-star players, John? For Mookie Betts, he got Alex Verdugo, Colton Wong, Jeter Downs. Colton Wong might be a backup catcher in Major League Baseball. For Andrew Benintendi, he got Josh Winkowski, maybe a 5th starter, and Franchi Cordero.
The Frenchman.
And a couple players to be named later in air ball. For Xander Bogaerts, he got a 4th round compensatory pick. The reason why it's a 4th round compensatory pick and not a 2nd or 3rd round, because Chaim Bloom, Wonder Boy GM, couldn't manage the luxury tax. When you're obviously not re-signing JD Martinez, probably definitely not re-signing Nathan Eovaldi. They needed to be traded, but no, he still had tickets to sell in August and September.
I would argue that you can somewhat make an argument like signing Xander is like somewhat providing value because you didn't want to push it to like he was like in his 40s. I would argue if you re-sign JD Martinez, that's fucking malpractice.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And so yeah, no one here in Boston is upset that the Red Sox didn't sign an 11-year contract with Xander Bogaerts. It's the fact that he would have signed Trevor Story's contract if you just gave it to him in spring training.
Also true.
So it's mismanagement up and down this roster. And now, if you're Rafael Devers looking at this, the team was never serious about retaining your best friend on the roster, the leader of your team, and everybody in that clubhouse loved. And so now this starting price, if the Red Sox don't come to him with 10 years for $350 million, you'd be like, all right, guys, you're clearly not serious. So I'm going to go out on the market and let someone pay me $400 million, because Rafael Devers, when he hits the market, is a better player than anyone who Aaron Judge is debatable.
But he's definitely not better than Aaron Judge.
Health-wise and age-wise, I'd probably think
actually, yeah, that's fair.
So
I don't think he'll get a bigger contract though, just because the stats involved. But in terms of
someone will probably come to the table next offseason with 10 years, $400 million. If right now, if the price is 10, let's say the price is 10 years, 350. Someone people go to the market, people get stupid. Steve Cohen's got money to spend. He seems like he's always got money to spend. Why wouldn't you pay Rafael Devers $400 million?
Yeah, that's fair. I just don't think he'll break.
If the Yankees miss out on Juan Soto, Rafael Devers is a pretty good consolation prize.
That's true. I just don't think he'll break the highest. I don't think he'll beat like any of those guys like Judge, Trout, or in terms of average annual value, in terms of the salary he's getting paid. That's
right.
All.
So maybe it would be 14 years, $400 million.
That's fair. Okay.
If you're Rafael Devers, why wouldn't you want to get paid till you're 40 now? Probably not going to be in Boston. And given the return that I just told you that they got for Mookie Betts and Andrew Benintendi, I don't want Chaim Bloom negotiating this trade.
And so let's pause right there for a second. So where do you go from here then if you're the Red Sox? At this point, are you just hitting the nuke on the roster and you're trading Devers, or do you want are you re-signing and you're trying to build on the culture?
Theoretically, I mean, there's nothing precluding the Red Sox from paying Rafael Devers. You just have to pay him something close to what the market dictates. but they want him on the Matt Olson contract. And that's just like, that's not, that's completely devoid of reality. And so I like, if you're Chaim Bloom, like we've talked about this, like I hope Chaim Bloom, actually I don't, I would have fired Chaim Bloom in spring training after he offered that 40 million, that Xander Bogaerts extension for $90 million, which you signed Japanese Rusney Castillo for, by the way, in Yoshida. So like, it seems like the Red Sox, at least until the Chaim Bloom regime, you can always count on them to have stars. But now this looks like a team that values 4A players over actually like proven bona fide major league all-stars. Well, at least you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay a 4A player. You don't have to pay Franchi Cordero over 7 years. You see, and he hits the ball hard. By the way, it like that. Actually, I don't know if you know this, John. If you hit the ball hard, it means you're a better player than an all-star. Okay, like all I have to do is just hit it hard. But the nerds. So like I don't know what the plan here is. Like it's pretty dismal here. Like what's next for the Red Sox? Last place in the American League East. Like you hear that the Orioles are in on Carlos Rodon. Like when the Orioles are in on Rodon and the Red Sox aren't, like what are we doing?
Chris Bassett also just signed with the Jays, by the way. So
yeah,
they're
the Blue Jays
too.
had another starting pitcher, which they definitely needed. That they signed Kevin Kiermaier, left-handed bat, and he's kind of a 240 hitter, but he's got pop in that bat.
Kiermaier is just more so George Springer after that injury doesn't have to play center field.
Exactly.
Don't think twice about that.
I mean, like he'll hit 25, 30 home runs in Skydome, but so I guess Chaim Bloom just hopes and prays that Marcelo Mayer turns into Corey Seager. Tristan Cassis is left-handed Dave Winfield, who Dave Dombrowski drafted, and Brian Bayo, who Dave Dombrowski signed, becomes Pedro Martinez. I'm not that optimistic, John. That's some pretty serious hope.
You're making, like, I'm just gonna tell you right now, if you bet on all those players to have careers like that, you would make a lot of money.
That's a lot of hopium, John. And at this point, like I just don't see it. Like I don't know what the direction for this franchise is, and
I think
because again, like there's all of these prospects that you're accumulating. The idea is that you use them to fix holes on the major league roster. Now, maybe the Red Sox will go out and sign Carlos Correa. I ain't betting on it. Like
I would not bet on that.
Yeah. So I just. And then again, like, why are you spending this money when you could have had Xander Bogaerts at a much lower price, who's arguably a better offensive player, who we know works in Boston? So it's puzzling, John, to say the least. And if they'd have to trade Devers because of they've completely mismanaged this soup to nuts, beginning with this Chris Sale extension, then. Like I don't know. Like
Alex, you walked us through a number of their mishaps these past couple of years with Chaim Bloom, and one thing that this reeks of, and obviously part of it could be John Henry being far too distracted with his other ventures, is that this reeks of a team that lacks direction. They don't know if they're going to be competitive. They don't know if they're going to rebuild every year, and that's why you're seeing stars leave for nothing. It reeks of dysfunction from the top, and until they get sorted out, probably by firing Chaim Bloom, let's be real. Like, I don't think it's changing anytime soon, man. Like, I think as long as that guy's at the helm, like,
my concern is that this is what John Henry wants. Like, he just wants Chaim Bloom to take all the bullets while he fields a team with a payroll of like $100 million.
And you know what? That might be what he wants, because he's going to collect those paychecks to get the Commandos under his portfolio. So,
yeah. Either that or LeBron's Vegas NBA team, or both.
Probably both.
And meanwhile, I'm gonna miss out on Xander Bogaerts getting his 3,000 hits with the Red Sox. So whatever.
It's okay. I'll FedEx you his Padres jersey.
Yeah. Thank you, John. And so we'll shift gears to this week in social media, because life just happens a little bit too fast online. So here at GNASS, so we just like to take a minute to Just appreciate the cesspool that is social media. And so, John, I feel like as a Red Sox fan, I'm going to turn into one of these long-suffering fans as we go forward this decade. And those are the Florida Marlins fans. Shout out to my boy Mike Titus. This is actually from another Mike on Twitter who was quote tweeting a Yankees fan who said, Frankie's two number spelled out too loud. No fan base in the history of sports has suffered as much as the Yankees fans the last 13 years.
This piece of shit, seriously?
Yeah, and then so Mike responds, I'm a Marlins fan. In the last 13 years, they're 874 and 2004, one COVID playoff appearance, built a stadium that no one goes to, 2 major fire seals, bottom tier payroll every year. Everyone leaves here and gets better. And one of the best players in franchise history literally died
in the prime of his career.
In the prime of his career, and that would be Jose Fernandez. And we were all robbed.
Honestly, man, like brilliance. Rest in peace. Jose was going to be like that guy's first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, he was putting up Pedro Martinez numbers between 98 and 2000. Pedro,
like crazy good pitcher, Jose Fernandez. Like it's so unfortunate, man, and like so sad.
So yeah, we were all robbed there. Red Sox fans next in line behind long-suffering Marlins fans, and I for one don't think can stand it, John.
Buddy, we're gonna make a pretty strong push because I am a Maple Leafs fan, so we're pretty long-suffering too. I mean, our last
Maple Leafs fans are definitely Red Sox fans pre-2004 for the NHL.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
That is who they are, and so maybe they'll get over the hump one of these years. John, is that who you're giving your social media flowers to?
Not exactly. Mine are going to Elon Musk, buddy, because there's some more Twitter mishaps going around with his blue check mark system. Apparently, the Maple Leaf star players are Austin Matthews is a TV personality. William Nylander is no longer confirmed. And Mitch Marner is a private business, according to Elon Musk's Twitter system. So just a shout out to the guys at Twitter for, of course, getting it right as always. Hire back your fucking employees, asshole.
Yeah. They're too woke for him, John.
Fucking guy. Anyway, Alex, I think that brings us to our favorite segment of the show. It's time for Degenerate's Corner.
Sometimes she goes, sometimes it does. She didn't go. That's the way she goes.
22 black, 22 black. Ass, son of a bitch.
The fucking way she goes, he said.
Oh, no. Why did I bet the company payroll? Oh, Gil's in a lot of trouble.
Can the boys beat the number? We'll find out on Degenerate's Corner.
That's the way she goes, buddy. The fucking way she goes.
That's right, John. We had another successful week with the NFL teasers. They just keeps coming, people. So there's plenty of time to get on Alex's tease train whenever you damn please. We got their Giants. They won, right, over the Commandos?
Tie.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We got a big showdown on the Sunday Night Football game. The Patriots got flexed out of next week. Steelers Falcons stayed well under 49, and Dolphins 49ers got over 40.5. Relatively stress-free. John, how'd your best bet do?
Our best bet was a win, buddy. We bet on the former captain of the Senators, Erik Karlsson, to get a point against his former team. He delivered. The man is in first for the Norris Trophy voting right now. He's the favorite for a reason, leading all defensemen in scoring. What a resurgence for the guy, man. Like, honestly, I couldn't be happier for a hockey player. Like, he lost his son, like, in one of his last years in Ottawa. Like, it was really, really sad. Like, the whole fight with the owner that got him off the team, and resurgent career, resurgent man, looking like a new guy. So happy for the Karlssons. And obviously he's on one of the worst teams in the league, so hopefully he'll get traded. But let's move on to the parlays, Alex. Your parlay hit? Because mine certainly did not.
Mine did not either, John. So we'll get past them. We only talk about them when they hit people.
I know. There's no reason to dive into that garbage.
It's like buying a scratch ticket. We want to stay positive here. John, where are you going for your best bet?
Speaking of buying a scratch ticket, my friend. So right now in the World Cup, we have our first African nation in the semifinals. That is Morocco. Morocco, I'm going to bet on them to advance on penalties versus France. Now, it's a plus 1,100 bet. So it's a big value bet. I'm going to just bet that Morocco's going to park the fuck out of the bus against France and that hopefully to God they advance. That's pretty much all I'm betting on. France, I know they've won the World Cup in the past, but they've had some choky incidents at past tournaments. So I'm hoping this one is going to be another. Alex, what about you? Where are you going for your best bet?
I guess first, we haven't talked much about the action on the pitch in the World Cup here on GNASS because I for one have not been consuming the Slave World Cup. But John, Morocco getting all the way to the semifinals. I know you said that you're going to park the bus against France. Why have they been so successful in at least getting this far?
Morocco is they're having one of their golden generations of players, if you will, where they have a lot of stars around the world, or not a ton, but like some stars around the world that are popping up. They have a great crop of players right now, led by like I was saying, Hakim Ziyech and Ashraf Hakimi, excuse me. But just like a really, really solid all around team. And the way they play, like I was saying, they play a proper style of knockout football. And what I mean by that is, when you watch, say, a top team like Barcelona or Manchester City, like a lot of the time the team is on the ball a lot. They recycle possession. A lot of the top teams play like that. In champions, in any sort of playoff style soccer, the most effective way to play is to disrupt your opponent, and that is how Morocco plays. They're all about being defensively solid. They don't play flashy. They don't do anything to like they're not big on taking risks. All they do is they believe in their structure. They believe in hard work, and as a team, that's how they're going to win. And they grind out victories, man, and it's been impressive to watch.
So you think if you think this gets to PKs, then like at that point, like it kind of like all the pressure's on France.
Yes, and at that point too, like in general with PKs, most of the time it's a bit of a toss up. So I'm gambling that Morocco is going to be able to be difficult to play against. They're going to figure out a way to do this, and at plus 1100, I'm liking that bet. Because you got to remember, like in tournament football, especially in the knockout stages, it's always close. It's all like we haven't seen too many teams run away with this. Alex, what about you? Where are you going for your best bet?
We're gonna go back to the well, John, with another NFL teaser. I mean, like these have been on a roll, even though we didn't record leading into this past weekend of NFL football. And full disclosure, my teaser did not hit this past weekend, but it doesn't count because I didn't throw it out as the best bet on this show. But so we will go back to the well for this one. Bills, they're 7.5 point favorites against the Dolphins. It's in Buffalo. It's December. Dolphins, there were reports the Dolphins had space heaters on the sidelines in San Francisco when it's in the 50s. Like that doesn't translate to playing well in Buffalo in December. So we're going to tease them down -1.5 inside the key number of 3, even 2.
Just really quickly, if you're one of those players in the space heaters in 50-degree weather, you're a fucking bitch.
Yep. So give me the Bills. Just need to win by 2 or more. Steelers, they are 2.5 point dogs. They're in Carolina. Steelers kept it close against the Ravens. Maybe get over the hump, get the win against a bad Carolina team, or it might be live dogs, but we just needed to lose by no more than 9 points. And 49ers Seahawks, given that Brock Purdy's in, another week of film on him. Seahawks usually, they're going to bring their defense, so we're going to tease that up to 49.5, and all that together is plus 160. John, we hit your best bet. John, what's your parlay?
So my parlay, we're going to do football meets football. We're going to take that Morocco bet and we're going to throw 2 football games on top of it to make it better. So the first one, of course,
streams, John.
Exactly.
Living dangerously.
But he mentioned the first one actually, which is 49ers Seahawks. Now I actually like the 49ers in this game. I think the 49ers are playing great football. I believe they're at home for this game. Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, they've been great all season. They're going to bring their defense. I think this is going to be a close one, and the 49ers edge it out at home. I just think they have too many weapons. So we're going to add that money line parlay onto our Morocco advancing on penalty kicks. And we are going to add, Alex, another game you mentioned, which is the Giants versus the Commanders. The Giants and the Commandos tied it up last time. Big game on Sunday Night Football. So I'm going to take the Giants to cover at 5.5. I don't think Washington's going to be able to pull away from this game, even if Carson Wentz is back. Like, in fact, I think that actually might help the Giants if Carson Wentz starts this game, just because he's been.
Yeah, why would the Commandos start anyone other than Taylor Heineke?
You really that's what I mean. But like they're already declaring him off of IR, so I'm hoping it creates a controversy and they start him, because that's even better for the Giants to cover this game. Alex, what about you for your parlay, really quickly, that is an odd total of plus 3,200. Alex, what is your parlay for this one?
So we got a hodgepodge here. So bear with me. We got some NBA, we got some college football and college basketball, and we got even a little hockey. Courtesy of John helping give us a little beefier number here.
Fingers crossed, buddy.
Tomorrow on Tuesday night, Celtics are playing the Lakers. Second night of a back-to-back. We're just gonna take the Celtics on the money line here. If the Lakers are, granted, the Lakers have played better. If the Celtics, like, nothing's really gonna, like I said, you only have so many chances to like show who you are. Not that you did against Golden State, but you're playing on TNT against the Lakers. You're playing your, most hated rival. You got to come out with a win and finish up the road trip strong for the Celtics. If you're the Celtics. Tonight, the Blazers are playing the Timberwolves. We just got the Blazers on the money line. Timberwolves are, they were going to be a dysfunctional mess, and by bringing in Rudy Gobert, so I'm pretty down on the Timberwolves. Like the two towers thing isn't working. Washington basketball tomorrow night again.
Non-Bradley Beal.
We got them on no, this is college. Excuse me.
The
University of Washington. We got them on the money line over Cal Polytech. Heavy favorite there. We got Santa Clara on the money line. Heavy favorite over Portland State. That's also tomorrow night on the West Coast. San Diego against UC San Diego. They're a slight favorite. We got them on the money line. Now on to the NHL, courtesy of John here. So when this bet, if this parlay doesn't hit for hockey, talk to him, not me. But we got Bruins. We got Bruins on the money line against the Islanders tomorrow at home. And we got John's Maple Leafs on the money line at home against the Mighty Ducks.
One thing really quickly with those two money line bets, the Bruins, the best record in hockey at home, and the Leafs taking on the lowly Ducks on the second half of back-to-back.
Thank you. And also to round out the bets for college football on Friday, Friday, December 17th. Washington's
Friday's
Washington
the 16th.
State is playing
Saturday, 17th.
Fresno State in the LA Bowl. And it's bowl season, John. So let's have a nice over to cap off this parlay. Over 54.5. Fresno State and Wazoo.
Just quick correction. It's a Saturday.
Saturday. Sorry.
All good. Just in case any of our viewers go for a hard bet.
Yes.
Alex, what odd was that, by the way?
That altogether pays out $14.90.
Ooh, tasty parlay, my friend. Tasty parlay. May the odds forever be in your favor.
Thank you, John. Same to you.
Thank you, my friend. So I guess that brings us to the conclusion of today's show. Alex, do you have any parting thoughts for our listeners, our viewers, our subscribers?
Red Sox fans, I guess we're going to start building that bridge to 2025. I look forward to joining you on this journey. I really don't. And I want to throw myself out the window.
Hashtag Fireheim Bloom.
Hashtag Fireheim.